Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth in terms of what self-discovery looks like when you're really moving through and you're really healing from narcissistic abuse, emotional manipulation, where your feelings, your thoughts, your behaviors have been really kind of strewn up in an engineered chaos as a result of being in a relationship with a pathological individual. Someone who, may be really grotesquely self-centered, really grotesquely entitled, the way that they treat people, the way that they talk down, minimize others, make you to feel unimportant, that you don't deserve eye contact, communication, to have the center of your life being within the center of your core. And so we're really going to talk a little bit more in depth about self-discovery right now. But before we get started, I just want to give a quick nature scan into the water here. And I'm going to go up. Sometimes I'm not very good at this. Let's see, can we see any fish? I'm just going to see. It's kind of murky in here, but you can kind of see some little fish in there. They're kind of sitting, hanging out in their element. I don't know if you can see them in there, but they're kind of moving around. They're kind of hanging out. See that one right in there, right in the middle? Am I getting it, guys? Hi. Is there one over there? He's swimming his tail. Okay. Anyway, just out of curiosity, just want to share that with you. And so, if you see some jumping in the background, let's not be alarmed. So right now, we're focusing in a little bit more in depth and kind of like what self-discovery is about. Self-discovery is really kind of feeling who you are without the pathology. Feeling who you are without the sort of imprinting and programming of feelings, behaviors, and choices of the past, feelings of the past, thoughts of the past, all those patterns of the past, which are sort of tinged with a negativity. There's a murkiness about and a lack of clarity in those relationships when you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist or someone who is psychopathic. Let's just kind of put it into, without diagnosing, treating, or labeling, those individuals who have a profound or pathological sense of self-importance. And they do this in a way where they accomplish this by putting others down. So they're really not good at being very supportive. They're not very good at directing. They're not very good at being kind of nurturing in the way that most people would need or expect in a functional relationship. So it's to admit that there's a certain element of dysfunction in these relationships. And so part of self-discovery is coming out of the stigmata or the sort of stigma of being in a dysfunctional relationship and feeling that it's going to define you for the rest of time. When we really think about that, it's kind of laughable to think that one person could have so much power or influence or have negative influence on us. So it's to say, to flip it up and say, well, what other person can have profound positive influence and direction, and that I can surround myself with and kind of focus on, meditate on, absorb the energy of, and do the work of, whether it's a musician, whether it's an artist, whether it's professional, whether it's an organization, whether it's a religious icon, or someone who you really look up to because of their talents or their personality. Someone who is really in abundance of those qualities is where you can also help to facilitate and provide a little bit more substance or foundation for your self-discovery. So self-discovery is just that. It's not about, only, just this person and how they have molded you or shaped you to be in a specific way. It's to say, what shape do I take on? What is my shape? What are my feelings? What am I interested in? What makes me happy? What makes me tick? And what gets me excited? So self-discovery is about permitting and allowing that and being able to ask those bigger questions. But oftentimes our happiness has been under such lock and key because of the isolation. One thing I find with a lot of individuals who have been involved with relationships who are pathological, pathological selfishness, lack of empathy, where they control others through their rage. They control others through their outbursts. They manipulate others through their hostility or their aggression. So everybody has to flinch and flail and jump 10 feet when they say jump, or they yell, or they scream, or they pout. It's a very unhealthy emotional manipulation that can take place, and it can kind of damage you or create a lack of feel-good. And so self-discovery is about discovering the feel-good for you. It really is all about resensitizing yourself and giving yourself the gift of time, and realizing that time has so many gifts for you if you acknowledge it, if you validate it, if you open your mind to it. But to stay stuck in a trauma bond is to stay in a closed mind. It's to stay in a closed heart. It's to stay in self-limitation. It's to stay in lack of self-belief. It's to say, I can't see for myself. I can't see through my own eyes. I can't hear with my own ears. I can't touch with my own fingertips. And I can't emote and move along the positive because I've never been permitted this or given this before. And as we were saying, self-discovery is about giving that validation to yourself and having the courage, audacity, kind of coming from the subconscious mind in the solar plexus that says, damn, I am good enough. Damn, I deserve it. Damn, I deserve better. I will no longer be denied. I will no longer be waffled over, stepped on, pushed around. I am getting wise to this. And it can come with a silent sort of commitment in self-discovery. So it's not to say, I'm up against the wall, I'm up against the corner, I'm under the table. It's to take yourself out of those very lowly positions and saying, I'm not putting myself in that position anymore. I'm not subjecting myself to this. I'm not even around this. This is not even good for my health. This is not good for me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Did I forget anything? It's on all layers. So you have to realize and acknowledge and validate that self-discovery is about validating sort of the onionness of your being, or the sort of etheric energy of your being, that you have many, many layers, and that you need to expand that rather than kind of keeping in that sort of tucked away, hidden, isolating state. Because self-discovery, really, it can't, simultaneously occur when you're in that isolated state. You can be in depress. You can be in deep rest, where you're sort of like in the recovery of your energy and you're kind of getting a foothold. But self-discovery is really about saying, I will no longer be denied. I won't be denied happiness. I won't be denied my physicality. I won't be denied my smile. I won't be denied my good rest. I'm no longer can allow this person to rob me of my happiness. It's like virtual robbery, where your unhappiness is just given up to them. And it's to say, no more. The time is now. That I'm like the new sheriff in town, and I'm setting myself free. I'm just going to wrap around, get the key, and let myself out of that confinement. Self-discovery, it really is about coming out of that confinement and saying, I am going to acknowledge and validate sort of an open-mindedness. So open-mindedness means to entertain the ideas with yourself of what really makes you feel good, what makes you excited. Even if it seems frivolous, out of place, you can't do that. The answer is yes, you can. Anything you focus on, you can become. I want to become a jewelry maker. I'm an artist. I want to become a marine biologist. I want to study biographies. I want to study film, videography. I mean, whatever it is, you can find resources, courses out there. There's Udemy. When you watch YouTube here, if you click on some of the ads that talk about making a website, writing a book, it's really different. You can focus these on any sort of topic that you are interested in. I mean, there's people who have, who are doing all sorts of videos on just icing, on just, on how to make a cake. I mean, it's that this is the information age where, you can be original, you can be yourself and sort of modulate your interests into really a sort of a passion. And so it's to come into a passion of that and then realize all the different vehicles with which you can be creative in those ways, and then tap into these resources which are kind of locked and sort of buried within you. The covert narcissist kind of buries you and suffocates you with their needs. So it's time to really sort of stop that focus without feeling guilty, without feeling the overwhelm. It's to work through those feelings and say, you know, I love you, I've done the best I can, but I no longer need to hold myself back because now is my time. And it's to also realize that the covert narcissist has lived their life. The other pathological psychopath, those people are living their life. Why would you deprive yourself the right to your own? And let's just take a quick breather and look at the scenery. It's just to really to open up your mind. Take a breather. Take a breather from needing this person. Take a breather from needing to feel bad. Take a breather from being addicted to the disappointment. Being addicted to the, oh shoot, I did this again. You know, being addicted to the Britney Spears, oops, I did it again. I fell back. I disappointed myself. I didn't do anything today. I didn't do anything this week. I haven't done anything yet this year. You know, we're getting into the summer of the year. You know, what are some things you kind of wanted to do but have held yourself back from? So it's to look once again, like I discussed in the book that I'm writing, which is, you know, look at the areas of your procrastination. What really have you been putting off? You know, making excuses, feeling down in the dumps, feeling in the funk. You know, what can you do and just go and get your hands on it for half an hour, 2 hours? Where can you go to liberate yourself and clear out some of the things that have been holding you back, that have unconsciously been blocking you? That is what self-discovery is about. You need to visualize to materialize. And it's to say, if I were not stopped by all these feelings of sadness and depression, I would really love to. If I were not stopped by this feeling of, you know, no one can get to know the real me, who would I love to be? I think that's a lot of it too, is that people that feel that they don't really know themselves, and they haven't been allowed to get to know themselves in these harmful, emotionally manipulative relationships. You've gotten to know other people's needs, but you haven't gotten in touch with your own needs. You've gotten to know other people's feelings, their rage, their disappointment, their anger. You know that very well. In fact, you know the back of their hand better than the back of your own hand. So it's to say, now that I don't need to focus on them, I want to focus on me and my needs and get to know myself. We're going to take another quick breather while you think about that. Sorry. Okay, so I had to take a breather there and just kind of get my breath and get my feelings and thoughts together. So, now, as we're saying, when it comes to codependency, it's, you know, others' needs better than your own. You know the rages of others. You've been controlled by others before and their panic attacks. You've been controlled by their anger. You've been controlled by their silence. You've been controlled by their lack of communication or style of very belittling conversation. And so you haven't gotten a sense of who you are. So wouldn't it be a shame to never have that journey and have that right? That's an inalienable right to be able to be yourself and to not have just a hook gouging on your side, you know, all the while of a trauma bond, because the trauma bond really is kind of like having a constant tug on you. So it's to say, okay, now that I don't have the tug, I would really love to spend my days becoming. So if I didn't have that tug, if I didn't have that feeling in my body right now, and if I were just to relax my body and just to let everything go for a minute, and if I can close my eyes and meditate on that, I would really love to become the true center of my being that they never knew about me is. And the way that they didn't love me is, and so therefore I'm going to give that to myself. And with that, I will have fullness and I will have healing. And I've let them go in forgiveness. I've let them go in their human form. They are human. They're not perfect. I needed to have a perfect person in my life, and I made them perfect in all my thinking about them, and I projected onto them. But now I'm going to take those projections back. And I'm now going to discover the real me and how I truly feel, and that is okay. My secrets are safe. And even though I can admit my secrets now to myself and I release them and I let them go, my secrets are no longer holding me back. So that's just a little bit about self-discovery. It's to ask yourself who you would like to be and feel, you know, as well as have and make choices and think alike. But it's also important, as I discuss, to, you know, come into contact with what you've been procrastinating. Stop the procrastinating, whatever it is, no matter how hard. You know, people freak out nowadays. You know, they're calling someplace, they got to give them your phone number. What, you know, do the work, do the little bit of work. Don't get frustrated with yourself, but begin to fill that reservoir, that space, that well within. Begin to fill it up like you're filling up a punch bowl. Fill it up. Here goes a recovery date. Here goes a recovery gift. Here goes my astramations. Here goes my recovery journal. You know, I'm filling up the punch bowl. And you're just, it's like a ladle at a time, a little bit at a time, you're filling it up. And then, you know, you're feeling, you know, really that positive outlook. You know, the punch bowl is full. And I've got control of the ladle, and I have discernment and how I can spill it out. But I know what I'm made of. I know the good stuff that's in there. I know the fruit juices. I know if there's alcohol. I know what fruits are in there. You know, I know what I'm made of. And so it's to come into that, like, I know what I'm made of, sort of aha, wow experience. So your self-discovery after an emotionally manipulative relationship needs to have that sort of component of awareness, visualization, combined with the feeling mechanism of your physiology, you know, carrying yourself a little bit higher, you know, carrying your head up, your shoulders back, you know, not slouching down, because as you can feel, your physiology and how you feel and then your thoughts are also connected to how you carry your body. So as we're saying, if you slump over and feel down and you're, you know, get your eyes down, you know, you're not seeing much and you're definitely not feeling anything much of positive. But if you stand up, take a deep breath, open up your chest, open up your shoulders, hold up your head, you know, you begin to see a whole lot differently and you begin to feel a whole lot differently. That's what self-discovery is about. And then you carry that on into your day, into your relationships, into your rest, into your naps, into your sleep, into your how you brush your teeth, into all those little minutiae, little grain by grain, little chunk by chunk. Eventually you'll really begin to develop a sort of distinguishing wisdom in a proper way that you're carrying yourself versus the dismantled, disempowered way that the emotional manipulator had put you in. Cast that out. Let that go for good. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. You got one? I think you got one. Let's see. You see our fish? We're just gonna play here a moment. Where's our fish down there? I think we can see him moving. There's one. I don't know if the camera's picking this up or if you guys can even see. Just fun, hanging out. A lot of seaweed growing right here. I think the fish like to hang out in there though. Only some of them do. Oh, can you see this guy? Hey little fishy. Hi little fish. Oh yeah. He is just to the right of the flowers. Can you see him? Here we go. One more. Then we're going to wrap it up for you guys. Hey fish. He's right under there. Whee! Have a beautiful day, guys. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony.